Welcome to Black Beat Podcast, where we take an unapologetically Black approach to profiling people and stories that are significant to the connectivity and advancement of our community. I'm John Washington, the CEO and editor-in-chief of Flosser Media, and your host for each Black Beat episode. Today, we are honored to welcome musical icon and local legend Norm Sylvester to the show. Famously known as the Boogie Cat, Mr. Sylvester was introduced into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame on October 8, 2011, as one of the most engaging showmen around the Northwest. He is influenced by his Southern Baptist roots and his father, Max Sylvester, who he toured with in addition to performing for clubs, corporate parties, wedding receptions, private parties, and all types of music festivals. Welcome, Mr. Sylvester. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. What's going on, my brother?
That lyric explains it all, John.
Hey, man, it's the time. Bro, I had the opportunity to listen to that song here this morning. I got up, man, it just refreshed me. I said that brother hit it right on the head.
Right on the head, way before its time, but that's what was happening for him right at that time too.
Yeah, man, tell us about your journey. Norm, I'm fascinated again. Man, I know you got a real powerful story, and I'd like to hear just a little bit of the backdrop of that. What's your history, man? And tell us how you became to be known as the Boogie Cat.
Well, it all started in Bonita, Louisiana, man, on a 112-acre farm my grandmother owned. Ooh. And she brought me into the world. She's a midwife, and in that farmhouse, she delivered my sister and I. And that was the beginning of it all, man. I always tell my kids that I was born in paradise because we would go out in that farm and take off our shoes and run over that dirt, man, and hummingbirds and butterflies and fruit and everything, that you wanted was right on the land, man. She raised cotton and sugarcane, and, wow. She was a church lady, church on Sunday, all the time, man. That's what we did. We had everyday shoes and Sunday shoes. Sunday clothes.
Sunday clothes, but it was only a couple times you wore them on Sunday and on Easter.
That's right. They last a long time till you grew out of them. But my mom and dad met on that farm, and my dad was a quartet singer. So when he first started singing in the quartet, it was an acapella group. And I got to hear that gospel voice, the blending of the harmonies and stuff like that. And they later added the guitar. That was my first introduction to what the guitar would sound like with harmonizing voices. And I was hooked on music then, just knowing and feeling it, feeling the emotion that was created by Afro-Americans when they put blues and gospel together during slavery, man. That whole thing was just a survival communication thing. So fast forward, we moved to Oregon in 1957.
Whoa, you came out of Louisiana and came to Oregon in 57? Come on,
in 1957, the tallest building in the downtown Portland was the Union Pacific clock.
57, boy, that was a year.
Yeah, we came through Union Pacific, man, and first time I seen the mountain or a canyon, I didn't know where I was coming, man. So when I was a sophomore in school, my dad bought me $11.95 guitar at H&B Pawn Shop because I wanted to play guitar. He said, if you learn 3 songs on that guitar, acoustic, I'll buy you electric.
Wow.
So I met Isaac Scott and Danny Osborne at the Faith Tabernacle Church up on Wygant and Williams Avenue. And they, through that, we ended up, through that meeting, I met Isaac, and he could play some great gospel guitar. And he taught me how to play 3 blues songs on that acoustic. My dad bought me an electric. And the rest is history. I've been playing guitar by ear. If we can hear it, we can play it.
Yes, sir.
So with them little 45 records and that one little turntable with the little plastic thing you put in there in the middle of the 45 discs.
Yeah, I remember that. remember that.
We just play it over and over again until we learned it. And we could play just about anything, man. So, you know, of course, I was married when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was 25, I had 4 kids.
Right on, man.
So I ended up a Teamster. You know, I went to trade school. Went to a trade school and learned heavy duty equipment mechanics.
Mm.
I was a Teamster for 25 years. But while I was a Teamster, I opened for B.B. King in 1987.
What? Come on.
At the Arlene Schnitzer Hall.
Man, come on.
And I went back to the trucking company the next day. So, you know, that's the Boogie Cat's journey, man. God had a plan for me. I had to provide for my family, and I couldn't play that music until it was time. And, you know, through Reaganomics and the trucking company being deregulated, trucking company went out of business in 1990. And I started my company, Boogie Cat Production, and went to music full time.
Man, no.
And that's when the Boogie Cat journey really started. I was full focused on music, and I'd already been playing music on the side while I was a Teamster. And boom, all of a sudden, everything opened up for me. You know, God had a plan that I couldn't do it until it was time. And, you know, that dream comes. So I'm living my dream right now as the Boogie Cat through that journey, man, that struggle, you know, family first, music second.
Man, look at you. Boy, we love you now. I understand why you got to the Hall of Fame. Hey,
Yeah.
look here, man, but just tell me, just as a regression for a second, man, what was Oregon like back then, man? And, you know, in the 50s, man, what was this place like? I mean, I can only think about it, fathom it, but tell me, man, what was your experience?
Well, you know what, John, when I came here, man, I came to my first integrated school. See, we were all segregated back there. Segregation didn't get to Bastrop, Louisiana, where I went to elementary school. See, my grandmother lived in Bonita, which was a farm country. Mm-hmm. Bastrop was the paper mill town. That's where my dad worked at the paper mill in the early days. And that was all Afro-American people. The neighborhood was Afro-American people. So when I came out here, it was a culture shock for me, man, to come out here. So, you know, to an integrated school. And my mom always said that as long as you did the best you could do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And don't take no mess if it gets too tough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'll come up to the school and we'll talk about it.
The mama was no joke, right?
Yeah, so
I had a mama, boy, that would come out there, boy, I'm gonna tell you, when she came out on the playground,
yeah,
stuff out there, stuff stopped real like fast.
So, you know, I didn't really have any problems, but you know, in those days, John, Williams Avenue was the avenue, man. There was two-way traffic. They had produce over there. They had Chinese restaurants, barber shops, clothing stores. And that was the main spot. Citizens Cafe on the corner of Williams and Russell.
Yeah.
The whole thing right there was just the epicenter of Afro-American people. So that's what I came to. Everything a little bit west of Union Avenue at the time, which is now MLK, was all Afro-American people. So I came into, you know, Vancouver Avenue Baptist Church, the first church I went to. You know, that whole area was just, Holiday was just booming over there as well. That Holiday district where the Coliseum is and Lloyd Center, that was the Holiday district. That was all Afro-American people, we know, with schools, the whole thing over there. So it was separated because on the east side of Union Avenue was more of German community.
Right.
Over in Irvington was more kind of a Catholic area. Then you had the Holy Redeemer area, the Holy Rosary area. So it was. I never ran into a lot of racism in my face because, you know, our parents kept us pretty close to the neighborhood.
Right.
You know, my dad would say, okay, well, Alameda was the big area where all the pretty homes was, and they had the lawn jockeys and all that stuff, you know. So my dad said, on Sundays, well, let's ride up there. Let's go ride around in that neighborhood a little while. You know, so we jump in the car on the Sunday, you know, get some Dairy Queen chocolate dip ice cream cones and just ride around, you know, in areas that we didn't normally see. we never was combated with anything. So racism was there, but as growing up as a kid, it really didn't hit me in the face as anyone approaching me or putting me in the corner. I was the first kid that invited me to his house for dinner was a German kid, Edward Lund. He lived over on Skidmore right off of Mississippi. And that was the first invitation I had to go to someone's house for dinner.
Wow, no.
And I went there, and they welcomed me. My parents said, what they said, you got food at home, so don't be asking for seconds. Try to eat up everything in the house.
They always taught us the right kind of etiquette. Go there, boy, don't look too bad.
Well, we look back on those lessons all the time. But, John, what hurts me more about the journey of the neighborhood, if we're going to talk about the neighborhood, is that how much has changed.
Yeah, man.
I look back over my shoulder. I have tears in my eyes sometimes when I pass by 7th in Alberta, where Coast Janitorial used to be, when all the Scott brothers used to have that big business. Cause I worked 16 hours a day when I was younger, and I'd work trucking company 8 hours, and I'd go to Coast Janitorial with a couple of friends of mine, and we'd pick up a van and take off and go do janitorial accounts until about 12 or 1, come home and sleep a few hours and go back to work the next day. So Coast helped a lot of folks that transplanted out here get work. I look at that corner and I'd have those memories, So being 75, I have a lot of times I pass through the community and I look at spots that used to be the spot for African Americans, and nothing's happening there, and it just brings tears to my eyes. So that journey from 1957 to now has been a struggle, and the struggle continues.
Man, so I so appreciate that, Norm. I mean that, and and under my watch, even it's painful along with you, man, to watch Williams turn and let him get it back, on some of these, on some of the stuff that we've seen. So, man, I'm swinging right along with you, man. But let's not get too far into the weeds on that one. But man, that music journey is what I'm trying to get back to here.
Let's do.
So tell me, man, about that musical influence of yours, man. What was the backdrop on that, man? Who got into Norm's head other than that first brother that was handing you that taught you that?
I made my first recording in 1969, a 45 disc at Vanco Records in Vancouver, Washington, with the band called Rated X. That was before Pleasure came out. They were young kids then, and there was another band out there called Slickophonics at the time. And I got the two horn players from Slickophonics, Donnie and Ronnie Miller, twins. They were saxophone and drums, and had Clarence Rogers on B3 organ, Penny Fontenot singing lead, was doing Gladys Knight and Aretha Franklin stuff. And, I made a first recording with that band, and I had to end that band because the trucking company said I had to go to graveyard shift. So I went to graveyard shift for 5 years, and I didn't play any music that much. But in 1965, I went to the Reed College Commons. Buddy Guy was playing there. I love Buddy Guy. So on the break, I went over to the road manager, my wife at the time, and I told the road manager I could play guitar. I'd like to meet Buddy. So he took me back to meet Buddy Guy, and Buddy said, "Will you play guitar?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." You got a guitar with you? I said, "No, sir, I don't." He said, "Well," told the road manager, "Would you take him out there and give him my guitar, let him open up a couple of songs for the second set?"
Whoa. Come on, man.
So I went out at Reed College Commons and played, I think it was Hideaway. I did that, and I let the good times roll after that. And man, Buddy had already burned up the place. He was playing the guitar with his teeth, with a handkerchief and everything. And folks thought I was with the band at the time. And so I was hooked right there. Buddy Guy hooked me on what it felt like to see the crowd go, wow. You know what I'm saying? So I was hooked from then on, man. And then, just fast forward to 1987, when they had the first Waterfront Blues Festival, the first festival was called the Rose City Blues Festival, and John Lee Hooker was the headliner with all local bands. I was one of those bands, and I've only missed four waterfront blues festivals since then. So just emerged in the music, but still finding a balance with the family. You know, that music helped me survive, man. You know, even through this COVID thing, it helped me survive. You know, my wife and family, of course, are my rocks and my foundation, but that music kind of saves me from going to sit on the psychiatrist's couch.
Well, maybe I'll have to play a lot more. I'm about to run over there and see him in a minute. You know, hey, but tell me, Norm, what's been some of the, now that you're talking a little bit about those challenges, tell me, what have been some of the successes and challenges navigating your career over the last decade, man? What's been some of the trials and tribulations or the successes, you know, those high and low points, man?
Well, you know, the high points, it's always been the blessing that God gave me to translate and communicate with music, because sometimes I'll go to a level and plan that I didn't know I could do, but I know that that's higher than me. Something's taken me there. And I always appreciate those times. You know, the low parts, of course, as any man's journey is of course health. I've had like 4 hip surgeries, you know, that kind of stuff. And the music brought me back from that, you know what I'm saying? So that was because of the trucking company that wore out a lot of joints, man. In and out of those trucks. And, you know, I started at the trucking company in the grease pit and ended up the purchasing agent at the end of it all. 23 and a half years, I ended up the purchasing agent from the bottom to the top. So music was always there for me. So the highs and lows was when the lowest spot I ever had was, of course, when the trucking company went broke in 1990, 8,000 people out of work. I had 0 wages. I went from a good wage to nothing.
Wow.
And I went through the dislocated workers in Oregon, and they trained me for bookkeeping and computer skills and interviewing skills. And they said, well, what do you want to do with this training that you're getting from us? And I said, never punch the clock again, God willing. Wow. And that's when I started Boogie Cat Production. So that was a low spot, you know, and my grandmother always said that age can be a blessing and can be a curse. So if we walk this earth into the 80s and 90 years old, we are walking without a lot of the things we saw as we started our journey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. When we look in our rearview mirror. Yeah. And that right there is the low spot. A low spot is in your quiet times when you reflect on who was there when you started this journey, and you look back and see that a lot of them are gone, you know, that kind of thing. Those are the low spots that you never get over, you just get through it. Wow. And music is always that anchor that holds you tight, you know, and embraces you because you create that. And when you play it, you communicate from your soul every chance you get. So that's always been my foundation.
You know, Norm, I've always been really impressed with your level-headedness, man, and perspective on things, and your ability to articulate those experiences, man. And so, you know, and then that fact that you sort of integrate the spiritual aspect of your life, man, you know, and there's something we have in common with that, but it's real. You have that gift, man, that persona, man, that you make it almost seem like it's easy, man. But yeah, but I know like it's all, Norm. I know we had them struggles, man. You know, but you know, and I love the fact that you taking pictures as you're going along in your mind and your experience, you know. Mm-hmm. But talk to me a little bit about race relations, man, your perception about the country in terms of your evolution, man. How you navigate? You seem like you navigate that very easily, you know, in that experience.
Well, John, I can always say honestly that being a blues musician has not been a thing that was accepted by my culture of African-American people. They didn't they look at the blues as kind of a sad, mournful thing, and that reminds them of pain and bad times. But I look at blues and gospel as something that was a vehicle for those people oppressed to have something that they created they could call their own, that nobody had ownership to, that voice or that beat in their soul or how they expressed that gospel song. No one could take that away from them. They didn't have to have cocaine or marijuana or someone else to tell them what to do. This was created inside of their souls. And those sharecroppers and hardworking people back in the day, I could never sing the blues like Muddy Waters because I've never lived the blues like him. But I can stand on his shoulders and play the blues. You know, I can stand on BB's shoulder and play the blues because he laid the path. So basically, that part is that I look out in the audience and I don't see a lot of my people. And that was and BB talked about that a lot too. And he had to come to terms with it. I come to terms with that. But there's a bright spot because when I play Good in the Hood at King School, I see every African-American that I know. You see, haven't seen in a long time. So I look forward to playing that particular festival each year. In 2019, that year, I bet you King School had the best crowd of folks I've ever seen at a Good in the Hood. And that was really a blessing. So, you know, that's the journey that I have as far as music, as far as my music being accepted by our people at large, you know. And, you know, blues is the basis for hip hop. So blues, you know, is the foundation. When I do, see, John, I taught blues in schools. I've done blues in schools. I've worked with Ethos. I've volunteered for Healthcare for All Oregon, for the healthcare mission, booking music for them for 8 years, the past 8 years. I booked the Good in the Hood Festival, and I was on the committee that started that festival. We did that for 11 years, bringing positive vibes to North and Northeast Portland, trying to bring folks in because they thought it wasn't good in the hood, that you couldn't come to North and Northeast Portland because of the press.
Yep.
And Sister Jane Hibbert over there at our Holy Redeemer came up with that concept. And Paul Knowles, he did the parade, and I booked the music. And we had everybody coming over to Good in the Hood campus, man, from Southwest, from out of town and everywhere, that it was good in the hood. And, you know, that's basically, you know, I think that more than saying that I've had a struggle, racism has been around me all my life. All my life. My uncles and grandparents and all that, I would hear horror stories in the South about stuff that had happened. And my grandmother and my mom and dad would always say that the man standing next to you put on his pants just like you, one leg at a time. But they told me one thing, that the lesson that they told me was that you will have to do something 2 times better than that man.
Yeah.
Just know that. Keep your head up. When you walk into a room, put on your best suit. If you ain't got but a penny in your pocket, walk in that room like everybody in that room owes you rent.
That's a good one. Yeah, okay. I can do that.
With your head held high. So, you know, I sent Fawn a video of a song called I Don't Know What This World Is Coming To. And it was about, and that is a video about the George Floyd and the period we went through last year. You know, that was a very enlightening time for the world, you know, where there was people that never have had racism, but they were laying down on the bridge in protest. You know, I just thought that was a pivotal time for enlightenment of people. And you and I know that this has been going on for years and years and years. But now we're at a kind of a turning point where the world is watching.
Yeah.
And I think it's a strong period of time where young people are really being woke and stepping to the table and speaking their words. And as the elderly person in the community, I just want to support that. You know, Black lives do matter. You know what I'm saying? We just want to be there for that, for the change, because I remember Medgar Evers. I remember Martin Luther King. I remember Emmett Till's death. I remember all that stuff.
Yeah,
when I grew up. The Kennedys, the whole thing, man. I was there, you know. And every day after those incidents was the darkest day in the world. But then there was light. And after these dark days, after these dark days, there will be light, because people are trying to shine light on the situation. So we just got to hold on, man, and keep struggling. And, you know, it's a shame that we got to still be singing "We Shall Overcome."
Yeah.
You know, that song has been sung forever. But I'd rather sing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine." Let's shine our light.
Come on, boy.
On those negative things, shine that light.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let it be in the shadows. Put your light on it, but with your words, with your letters to your congressmen and representatives. Speak your words. You know, you got power in your words. So that's what I say to the young people. You know, continue to speak your words. Let's not tear down our neighborhoods and burn down everything that we need. Let's just march. Speak your words. Try to get into politics. Try to get into a position to make a change. We need a seat at the table, you know, we need that seat for I don't care what the gender is, put them at the table for us. That's what we need, you know.
Come on, speak the truth about that, Mom. Hey, and you know, so what has it been like in the music thing for you now? I mean, because I know it was a hot thing, you know, prior to the pandemic, but you know, where did the pandemic take you in your music, man? Tell me a little bit about what was going on for you when you went.
When I went, I had a major surgery last year on January 8th. I came back from that surgery, went back to work for a little while, then the pandemic hit. My last gig was March 13th. My last live club gig was March 13th last year. So during that time, I've been doing virtual videos. I've been at home writing stuff. My band has been submitting studio pieces that we record at home and send to my bass man, who mixes it down into a song. My daughter records her part on her iPhone and sends that file to him, and we put the background on the song. So we had to reinvent our way of approaching music virtually, because that's a learning curve for a 75-year-old man.
Yeah,
you know
tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. They said something about success had something to do with grit, you know.
Man, I'll tell you, push one button and delete everything. Boom.
Boy, I know the anxiety that comes in as a result of all that too. So them little kids make it look easy, right? You know, boy, yeah.
But one thing about it, John, you know yourself, man, that doing this last year, I found out that things I thought I couldn't do without, I actually could.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And we got to see one thing that I hope everybody noticed, that without everybody on the road and the air being full of pollution, everything looked better. Looked like everything in my backyard, all my flowers grew taller.
Yeah, I tell you, green is taking over.
I mean, yeah, I had a lily in my backyard. It was 6 foot tall, man. I said, what in the world is going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that God gave us a view of what it could be. And I think politicians should be seeing that when we talk about Green Planet and stuff, that, wow, things look better. The air was better, you know. So let's go away from fossil fuels. Let's do what we need to do. So I think that the pandemic year for me was a soul searching time. And I've always valued my family, but I value them 10 times, 100,000 times more, because my wife, would do all the shopping, you know, because she's a little younger than me. So she was my soldier to shop, and she cooked meals. And my son got his bachelor's degree upstairs in his room, and his bachelor's degree was delivered to him by a FedEx driver. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't have a commencement until December 22nd. And he's my video guy. So he's here with me. So when I push that one button and make that mistake, he can correct it. So through that year, family bonding, soul searching, realizing the true blessings of life that you have, things that you thought you couldn't do without, you could do without, things you thought you needed, you found you didn't really need. And at the end of the day, and when you get on your knees and pray, you're thankful for the sunrise and the sunset and your health. And you sleep soundly, you know. So that's basically, you know, I miss music, man, but you know, God has a plan. You know, my grandmother, when it was thundering and lightning in Louisiana on that farm shack with the tin roof on it, and the hail and rain is hitting that roof and the lightning is hitting, she'd make my sister and I go sit down in a corner and relax. She'd open the Bible and she'd read in the Bible and says, we just got to be quiet because God is doing his work.
Yeah.
So, you know, you grew up with that same thing. So I think, although we had 500,000 lives plus lost in that year, it was a nationwide thing, you know, and I pray for all the families that lost people during that time. And I say to all the folks that don't want to get vaccinated, please do, so we can come back to the normal will never be the normal again, but we can get back. So that's my message for folks, is to get your vaccination.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And you know, man, you are definitely an inspiration, Norma. You know, man, you know, you got a few clicks on me, but boy, I tell you, it seems like we walk similar.
You call them clicks?
You call it clicks.
I call them years. I call them years.
But they supposed to get their clicks because they go by so fast. Clicking your heels, you know. But you know, bro, you have the passion, the insight, and the perspective, man. And you know, and your music is definitely showing that insight, that knowledge, you know, man. And I'm so glad that we still have you around, Norm, where you can continue to inspire. You know,
man, I'm happy to be here, man. But you know, like I say, I have health challenges as well, man. You know, just for the young African-American men out there, just like to say to all the young men and elderly men and middle-aged men to get your medical checkups, get your prostate PSA checked early on, and be ahead of that, because my father had it when he was 75. I have a little prostate problem at 75, and I'm cautioning my nephews and my sons to all be aware of your health. That's what takes you on, is that if you're proactive. That's why I've dedicated my last 8 years to healthcare. I testified in front of the legislature last month on a panel testimony for healthcare for all Oregon. And that was a really, really good event. I sang a song called Healing the Healthcare Blues for the, I asked the senator, I said, can I sing a song for you before I finish? And I sang it. And 30 minutes after I got off the line, I get an email from them and they said, well, could we use that song on our Facebook page? And I said, sure. I said, you know, because the lyric was, I don't care what party you're in, Democrat or Republican, I don't care what party you're in, independent or nonpartisan, healing the healthcare blues is the only way we can win. And I do it at my festivals too, man. And that's my anthem, man, healing the healthcare blues, because I think that African-American communities at large, underlying conditions, we need healthcare, man. And everybody in the world can afford it. It's a human right. Healthcare is a human right. And I just think that that's where we need to focus on a lot of our energy. Human rights, equality, accountability, healthcare, all those things for our community, man. Because we in Portland, we're scattered all over the place, but
Yeah.
through the right policies, we can still have unity.
This brother is not only a Hall of Fame musician, he's an activist also. And and let me tell you something, y'all. Don't mess with Noah because he will tell y'all something that you need to hear. Hey, no, hey man, tell me, man, how can some people get behind you, man, and how they get a hold of you? Give me a little bit. And well, before you answer that, tell me a little bit, man. Share with the listeners a little bit, man, about those who want to come into the music industry today after these years of your involvement in it. Hey, man, share with them a little bit about it, a little bit of game about what they need to be understanding coming into this industry today after you've been in it for a little bit.
Well, what I would say to most young people to start out is to find what makes your soul feel right. As far as, I don't know, you might be a spoken word person, you might be a hip hop person, you might be rap, you might be blues, you might be jazz, you might be neo soul. Neo soul is a mix of a gospel feeling and a blues feeling and a hip hop feeling, you know. So find your genre. The business of music, making music is a passion, but where the hard knocks come is in the business of music. Learn the business of music. Like I had to come out, and I'm a union man, so I belong to the Musicians Union. I'm a Teamsters Union. I've always been a union person. So I took advantage of the union by getting an attorney, being aware of copyrights and all the things that you need to know. And I copyright all my material. So learn the business of music. Don't just say, I got original songs, so I'm gonna play it for this guy. No, before you play that song for anybody, and if you're not ready to send it to Washington, D.C. to the copyright office and get a copyright, do a statutory copyright, put it in an envelope, the lyrics and the words, register, mail it to yourself, and don't open it. With the signed receipt, you got a copyright. So you got to learn all that kind of stuff. You know, there's places where you need to go, like Sound Exchange. If your music could ever get played on the internet, Sound Exchange will recoup your money if you're a member of BMI or ASCAP. So BMI, ASCAP, copyrights, learn the business. The business is what would wear you down. Yeah. And you'll get pushed in a corner. That's what happened to a lot of our blues cats.
Yeah.
They didn't know about publishing rights. So they got artist composer rights, which was a small amount. But when that song was published, the guy that owned that publishing made the lion's share of the money. So you don't want that anymore. You know, that's how when rap became independent and those guys went home and they started doing their whole thing, that's when they started making $1 million, putting the grills in their teeth and all that stuff, man. 10 cars in the driveway.
Hey, I wasn't mad. I was sponsored the whole lot. So this is what you want to do? Let's say, here, take this money and go and do it.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, but they had their business down. So, you know, making music, make it good as you can to heal your soul and to heal the soul of the people listening, but also learn the business of music. Learn it and apply it, and you'll do fine. You'll do fine, you know.
Music extraordinary. Hey, so you got any stuff with the TV stuff going on and music soundtracks and all that? And so is there anything around that? Is it a little bit different kind of business package with the type of work that you're doing for soundtracks and TV and all that kind of stuff? Or is it all still the same there also?
Well, you know, my music has not been using any movies or soundtracks, anything like that. What I've been doing with my music is reaching out to community outreach more to support a movement or to support making the community better. You know, I've done anchor person on a news channel on TV with Laurel Porter and that crew over there at Channel 8. I've done, I've sang on the Capitol steps you know, with my guitar, my bass man and I doing the healthcare blues 2 times. You know, I've done, you know, I guess, you know, just community awareness is more what I've had out there. My music is the Live at the Candlelight CD that was recorded in 1993 is still selling, you know, to this day, because it was phenomenal. That place was the place to be. And people met there and they got married after that.
First place I ever seen, you know, I'm gonna say, be honest with you. And I had just come to Oregon, boy, and I just seen you. And I said, boy, there's somebody here that I need to be paying attention to because it made me feel like home, Norma.
Man, I tell you, you know, that was I met my wife there. My wife, we've been married 26 years this year. So I met her there, and she's my photojournalist, you know. So I'm visible out there, man. I went to New Orleans in 2019. I hadn't been back to Louisiana in 30 plus years.
Yeah, man.
And I was in BB King's club an hour. And the guy came over to the table, said, "Is the po' boy, the shrimp po' boy, is that good?" I said, "Man, it's delicious, man." He said, "Where you guys from?" I said, "We're from Portland, Oregon, man. I'm Norman Sylvester."
You know, right on, baby.
I gave him a card. And he looked at the card and he went downstairs. 10 minutes later, he came back upstairs and said, "The band leader downstairs want to talk to you." So I go downstairs and the headline band for the night said, "You want to sit in with us?" I said, "Sure, I don't have a guitar or anything. So yeah, we'll hook you up. You can play the guitar." So I played at BB King's Club in New Orleans, man, bam, like that. After my performance there in New Orleans on that, the band leader came over to me and said, "How long you in town for?" I said, "I'll be here till next Tuesday. Come back next Monday night and play with us." So we went back that next Monday night, and my wife's birthday was the same night, and I played again at the club. I think I've also, while I was off for the pandemic, I recorded some tracks. They sent me some music on the computer. I recorded some tracks on their new album and sent it to them. So, you know, my music is going everywhere, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just for me, man, you know, being right here in Portland, Oregon. So I want to say to the young people, you don't really have to do that. The reason I stayed in Portland and didn't want to travel is because I have 4 daughters, 3 sons, 9 grandkids.
Damn, boy, you been
and
busy.
when my mom and dad, look at this, John, when my mom and dad was alive, guess what? As I grew up, it wasn't a day that I came home that I didn't see my mother's face, and I didn't smell food. And it wasn't going to be a day of her life that I wasn't close enough to her for her to reach out and touch me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, boy, I know what you're saying.
So I was dedicated to that because what she'd given to me, she passed away in 2001. My dad passed away in 99. But I was always there and I wanted to be there. So fast forward to family. I can get a call from my daughter sometime and I sit on the phone for an hour and never say a word. You know, just say, yep, okay, yeah. And then I might give a little bit of wisdom at the end of the conversation, but they just want to hear dad's voice and want me to listen. So if I was over here and over there and all that, where they couldn't touch me. So if you ever ask me what's my biggest accomplishment in my life, the biggest accomplishment in my life is fatherhood. The fact that I have children on this planet that call me out of the blue and say, "How you doing?" That's my Grammy right there, man. When I hit that rocking chair and I don't have that guitar in my hand, and if I can't push it with my feet and rock it, I know I got family that'll rock that chair for me and keep me going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, boy, you know, ever since we've been having this interview, you know, I've been rocking back and forth trying to the blues. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to keep you from hitting me. But boy, that one there just got me right between the eyes.
Yeah, man.
I got kids, man, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You know.
Yeah, you know, my music is growing, man. I've been practicing. I got about 5 guitars. I play a different guitar every day because they all in my life ladies. So they're my girlfriends. My wife understands that. So I play each guitar, you know, give them equal time, and I'm still writing a music. I want to share a lyric which I wrote for a song
man.
called
Come on with it. Yeah.
I Don't Know What This World Is Coming To. The president's running the nation from a Twitter account. The 1% is in control, 99% is left out. Politicians are angry, frustrated, and confused, fighting among themselves, singing the tweet, tweet blues.
There you have it. But you know what, man? I don't even want to let you go, B, because you know that now you done got my heart. But I gotta ask you just one question on behalf of Black folk, man. And
yes,
I'm just curious about your picking your mind. But what you think about what's your perception about Black economics and you know, and this whole notion of Black business and you know, that kind of stuff, man. Share with me your perception on that and what your feelings and thoughts
well,
are.
you know, man, that's a touchy subject, but you know what though, man, I think that in our lifetime, what we've seen, and we've talked about just a minute ago about the independent rappers making grips of money and making it rain.
Yeah.
Okay, the ability to do that is good. All that money. But what we have run into, man, and what's sad about it is that money and position don't give you the power that's everybody else have, that 1% to change policy. We got to get to the point to where we can change policy. And I get so mad when I hear folks repeat that thing, shut up and dribble, like telling LeBron James and those people. No, those people should be at the table with people, committees making changes. Oprah at the table making changes. Can Oprah change policies? You know, she said everybody get a car. That's great, but I'd love to see that translated into changing. You know what I'm saying? That you understand what I mean?
Yeah, man. No, come on.
The limitation of, you know, you're here, you're good, you're great, you do this. I want to dress like you, I want to dance like you, I want to do this like you. But okay, well, that's about further we go. We can't do that. So I think that when we can change policy, when we can make a policy change, what they're doing with the voting rights now, man, tears in my eyes, man.
Yeah, right here, B. Right here.
Tears in my eyes, man. I watched the civil rights, man. Ken Ford, when Ken Ford had the Black Panthers here in Portland, Oregon, man. My family home was on 9th and Goins in that Highland Christian Church right on that hill right there on 9th and Goins.
Yeah.
They was giving free luncheons and stuff out of that place, you know. So policy change and doing something to make changes. You know, we got a lot of forward-thinking, woke Afro-Americans in our community, man, in Portland, man. And I give kudos to all of them, man. And just keep doing what they're doing, man, to knock at that door. What's that beatitude? Knock and the door will be open.
That's right.
Seek and you shall find.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just keep doing that, man. You know, voices, make our voices heard. You know, I still think Portland, Oregon needs one big march with all the ministers in every church, every denomination, with their congregations, walking down the street, just singing a song of grace, man. Just showing that it ain't all about, it's all about, this is us. This is what we do. We got the power of the spiritual power in these words. And you know, that right there might paint a masterpiece as far as what we're seeing, because we are in a struggle. This whole situation with the George Floyd situation, you know,
TV and everything, yeah.
That's been in the forefront of the news, man, for forever, man. And I cry every time I see the photo, man. I mean, I've seen it a million times.
Too many.
And I never thought I'd see, of course, a pandemic in my lifetime. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime. You know, so yeah, I think that let our voice be heard. And I think open the door to African Americans is trying to speak, the ones with power and the ones in the middle class and the ones that's coming out of college, just wanting to make a change. We just need to be heard, because our words are important and our words carry strength. And all we're asking for is a seat at the table so we can heal our communities and we can get our children a safe future.
Norm, I am so honored to have you today, man, and your points and your wisdom, my brother. I'm glad I was at least able to capture this and it go down on history that we had this conversation, because I ain't mad at you. You hear what I'm saying? Thank you for being part of our show, where we take pride in improving people's perceptions of their capability, significance, and influence in their lives and in our community. Hey, my brother, I am so proud of you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And hey, if it wasn't for bad luck, we wouldn't have no luck at all.
And one thing, hey, John, one thing for sure. One thing for sure, the thrill ain't gone, man. The thrill is still there.
Come on, hey, man, you can work with me, because hey, anywhere you at, let us know where you at, bro.
I will.
What you doing, and we got you. You hear me?
Oh, yo, John, one quick thing, man. I'm doing a show with the Bravo kids, man, Bravo Youth Orchestra. So they learned 2 of my songs, and they're going to be performing those. So I will share the link with you, and maybe you can put this on the this broadcast, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Norman. And hey, man, and by the way, on your way out, before you get out of here, hey, what did you think about the Oregon CARES Act, man?
Oh my God!
Any support that you had gotten?
They did, and I thank Fawn for that. She pulled my coat on that really good and gave me the information. I applied. They did give me a grant. And I heard from other musicians that I know that got grants as well. And that was a blessing and came at a very much needed time. The Oregon CARES Fund was a wonderful, wonderful thing to happen to self-employed gig musicians and stuff, that because our calendar went blank. Boom.
Yeah, right away.
Right away. So yes, very, very great organization, and it did a wonderful job for the community, man. I couldn't say enough good about it.
Man, good morning, my brother.
All right.
Be with you and your family and your life. And hey, man, I got your back. I don't care about what nobody else says. You hear me?
Well, John, thank you, man. And thank you to your organization, man. You guys are doing a wonderful job putting the word out. And this is a wonderful platform. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, man, it was my brother. It's about that. You had a little bit of love, my brother.
All right.
See you soon, no?
See you, man.
Peace, man.
Peace.
Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love.